What is up, fellow people of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? This is my recap, review, and breakdown for the finale of Hawkeye, which I want to say, first and foremost, a whole bunch of fun. I want to say through and through that this show, I resonate with the somewhat heart it has. You know, my favorite things out of this is Clint and Kate. There's a lot of good aspects and fun aspects, of which I just want to compare to the quality of a Christmas movie. So I enjoy Christmas movies a lot. I get the festive, magical feeling. I get that out of Hawkeye as well. But this finale was the quality in a written level of that of a Christmas movie. Now, again, I can't wait to get into some of those details. It doesn't mean that I didn't appreciate and find this finale really, really fun. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was very, very, very problematic. So without wasting too much more time, guys, would always, as always, appreciate a like if you are, you know, on this channel every week, or at least maybe every few days. And just thank you for sticking with me in these Hawkeye reviews. You know, I've reviewed mostly every Marvel Disney Plus show other than What If. So, hey, I hope you stick around. Check out my spoiler review of Spider-Man No Way Home. It is to be looked at as kind of like a podcast discussion of it. It is an hour-long video, so take that into account when going into that video. But anyway, let's talk about this episode. So right away, we have Kingpin walking in, greeting Miss Bishop. This was cool to see how that meeting played out. One thing I would say about Kingpin is that some people feel like it is a bit of a bastardized, I can't freaking say the word, bastardized version of the character from that of the Netflix show. And while I will admit it does in terms, in some ways, feel somewhat worlds apart in a sense, I will fully admit that, again, I do like to kind of stress, subjectively, I really enjoyed this. Like, honestly, I really enjoyed seeing Vincent again. Yes, it was kind of, I would say, toned down, for sure. Like, that is, like, I don't see how anyone can disagree with that. But what came with that is a bit more of some of the comic-y vibes with, you know, whether that's the top hat, the cane, and things like that, all while it being the same actor who's not acting like, hello, he's still Vincent Kingpin. He still has that kind of Vanessa side to him in a sense, whether that's his twitching face. I loved all those little details of how constantly on the edge this man is. But yes, Kingpin, I want to say I enjoyed a lot, and I did, but then again, I can't help but feeling what a lot of fans felt this episode, and we will get into that moment, and especially towards the fight. This guy is immune to anything. You cannot convince me that this guy can't survive a nuke dropping and walking away absolutely doolally fine. Why, by the way? Because the show establishes that this guy's freaking immune to dismemberment and God knows what else. Being hit by a car and then getting up even better than what he was beforehand. Like, it's this levels of MCU dumbassery. Despite me loving the MCU, you can call stuff dumbassery that you're a fan of, by the way. That, yeah, my goodness gracious me. We got all the details with her kind of standing up to Kingpin in this moment, saying, you know, my fiance is taking the fall for Sloane, but my daughter is home now. Again, I like his responses. It is Kingpin. There are no lines in this business, Eleanor. Like, things like that. Like, all of that was cool. I appreciate all these things. I want to make that thoroughly clear. Like, there was still a lot of enjoyment in this episode for me, but again, on the level of how I enjoy and switch my brain off for Christmas movies. That's the best way I can put this episode. But moving onwards and upwards, we have Kate reacting to the video now, because we can't forget it wasn't just a photo that Yelena sent her last episode. It was a very video clip of this said meeting. She's obviously in a bit of distress and is just like, oh my god. Then we got that somewhat whimsical moment, which I think we all knew was coming. And as soon as we had that rooftop moment with Kate and Clint saying, you know, you're not my partner, you never were. We all knew, like, when there's obvious moments like that, it's only a matter of time until there's that moment where, like, you are my partner. This is what I mean about the heart of the show and how you can view things on a kind of a written quality, but also like a subjective heart. I'm a sucker for this stuff, quality and entertainment, and I am a sucker for Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld's chemistry, like, and their relationship in this show. I love it. I really love that. That's why I still really, as much as I found a lot of things dumb, had a good time. And this is where we have Echo walk into Kingpin when he's wearing his Hawaiian shirt, which a lot of people who kind of know this moment from the comics, which, by the way, I'm not calling that end moment with the gunshot inaccurate. It is. And that's what I mean. If you kind of knew that already, you knew where this might have been going in the episode. So this was all interesting because she kind of went in there. I do have a little bit of an issue with this moment in terms of how it was actually surprising to me that after there was a bit of conversation about, you know, going off for a couple of days to focus on her job, she's kind of come to this conclusion in her head about the Ronin business and stuff. There was this, again, I like Vincent's Kingpin, but after that was said and done, I was surprised to learn that they actually knew she was compromised and that, oh crap, and Maya, she's turned on us. Oh, so if you're gonna, you know, send Kazi to take out Maya, like, why not just do it there and then? It would have saved, I suppose, a lot of the episode struggles. I guess you could argue, just to try and play devil's advocate, that he didn't want to do it himself there with Kazi. Maybe he had to sell Kazi on it. Not that he should have to, because he's the Kingpin, and if he refused orders, he would just him anyway. I'm just arguing that instead of dispatching Kazi after her, he could have done the thing there and then. Plus, think how strong Kingpin is. But yes, I am acknowledging maybe he, to somebody he loves, didn't want to do that himself. But then again, I just keep thinking, but if he's willing to kill her, or, you know, send someone to kill her, he might do that. Do you see what I mean? It's just a bit of, like, obviously, send after her so we can make the episode and pursue her throughout the episode. So on the train with Clint and Kate, they basically come to the conclusion we need a lot more trick arrows and things like that. And I like seeing this moment. I put that in this bullet point. Just seeing them make arrows like this, it gives Kate kind of working on the job experience. And I like how that was shown later when they were obviously kind of going in spy mode. It's more just, you know, what are the threats? What are our assets? It's kind of just like head world building stuff for this character, if you know what I mean. Through how she will be Hawkeye one day. Got that nice heartfelt moment of, you know, her talking about the invasion, seeing Hawkeye. I like how this made him smile because he is a guy without superpowers at the end of the day, and it's something I would like to hear. I'd like to be recognized for not being freaking Tony Stark shooting lasers out my hands. When she saw him, he still jumped off a window, still did this, still fought aliens with a stick. So we have Kazi set up on the roof with the sniper, and this is where Kate and Clint arrive. Turns out, it was kind of surprising, like, 'cause we learned it's halfway through that the LARPers are there as well, as is undercover operatives. Fair enough, I suppose. We got some funny moments with Jack. Again, Jack, like, I think some people would be, you know, kind of annoyed with just how the swordsman wasn't really the swordsman, but he was the swordsman. But either way, Jack's probably one of the most decent characters in terms of, like, he didn't do anything wrong the whole time. And yeah, I guess he did have his swordsman moment this episode. I just feel sorry for the poor guy. This is where Kate confronts her mother about, obviously, the meeting. She's just like, you don't understand. When your father died, I was blindsided. So I get that character motivation. If she was blindsided, had a lot of this baggage to deal with from the people he owed money to. So that's all very believable and fine for me when it comes to how Eleanor first got into this mess and into bed with bad people, so to speak. When Kazi had that shot on Hawkeye, I have to admit, like, I'm sorry if people don't care about this, but that like, Kazi had a lot of time to take that shot, like, it was on him. And it's just like, oh, and then, like, Clint kind of sideswept out of the way or whatever. It's just like, you probably could have killed him, but okay, let's move forward. We had Yelena watching Clint run away from all the shots. Kate finds Yelena, and I have to admit, like, this is some of the stuff I just really, really enjoy about the show. Yelena and her character is very entertaining. Just like what I keep praising Haley Steinfeld for, she just seems to have great chemistry with anyone. So when she was paired with Yelena, I wanted to see more of that. I said that in previous reviews. And maybe this is what I say about MCU humor. I have issues with it in some things, like even more issues with Spider-Man No Way Home humor than, like, even moments like this. In this, it kind of fits better for me, and I was enjoying myself. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's all subjective, especially when it comes to, like, humor and comedy. But I really like these things. I just wanted to say that because some people might be like, how can you not find other things funny, but you find this funny? But I think that's because Hawkeye really embraces all of this. Again, I look at it truly in the quality of a Christmas movie. So when I kind of look at it in that lens and that filter, it's a lot easier for me to kind of enjoy these moments. And plus, they're bloody brilliant together. So funny. It's just when, like, she was taking the dress off, she was like, oh my god, what is happening? And that is when, obviously, like, we had Kate's new LARPy Hawkeye suit, if you will. Like, there's just so many little beats that I could reference that would just be, I guess, wasting time in this review. But I trust you guys know the funny moments that happen between Yelena and Kate and know exactly what I'm on about here. And I know you could say that we have Yelena not wanting to hurt Kate, but I have to admit, you know, they do show and establish that she does, like, proper, like, kicks her with good form, as she says, in the chest. So I'm just wanting to argue for the sake of, like, writing that she could have, a Black Widow could easily, and I know Kate obviously has training, but it is clear that this Black Widow, Yelena, is more competent in her prowess for fighting. She could have knocked her out. And if you want to use the defense of, oh, she didn't want to hurt her, well, they've shown that she was hurting her, but didn't want to hurt her too much. All I'm saying is she could have knocked Kate out to make things a lot easier for herself. I was a bit rubbed the wrong way when, like, Yelena was charging down. Really cool stuff. This is what I mean. Really cool action and whatnot. But, like, the gun was on Clint, and I know he sideswipes like that, but, like, you're a Black Widow. He's right there. He could have been shot. Again, when I say things like that, it's got absolutely nothing to do with, oh, but if Clint Barton dies, it ends there and then. That's not it. Just, like, maybe reorganize that scene to make me believe more as to how that shot didn't land, you know? It's just hard to believe. As funny as I found Kate just, you know, really falling from the window, this was really hard to believe, and this is where this episode got to. This is what I mean, the Christmas movie level of quality of switch your brain off, because it was ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous with what I'm about to get into with this Kingpin stuff. My god. So Kate Bishop grabs some of Yelena's grapple, so she was gonna, like, slide down on it with her own, like, mini kind of grapply thing, if you know what I mean. But there's absolutely no other way to slow her descent other than what they show at the end, where she puts the friction of her boots up against the wall. But the biggest issue with this, I find, and like, there's no other way to see this, rewatch the scene, maybe you're seeing it on screen right now, the wall and how much she was showing to slow her descent, they even established she wasn't slowed down enough for when she kind of was hitting the floor. She was coming down so fast. It was insane that she should have gone splat, even with what they showed of her slowing her descent. I just found that, like, again, I don't want to lean too into these moments and waste time, but this was one of the moments that was like, okay, switch brain off, switch brain off, switch brain off. Very entertaining, very entertaining, very entertaining. I insist on that, but switch brain off, switch brain off. This is where, again, a mix between entertainment, but like show stupidity in a sense, in how this is where the tracksuits all arrive. Kate just acts like a badass. I was really enjoying this. She's just like slam, bam, wham. But this is where some problems herein lie with typical choreography or just issues of characters doing nothing in the background. For example, we have the whole time in that moment, and I didn't like this earlier on in the episodes where we have that freaking tracksuit, and this is the MC humor I just don't really like. It's like, oh, by the way, you know, the guy who was just going on about thanking Kate that they saw Maroon 5 instead. The issue with this, my friends, look in the background. What are you seeing on screen right now? These tracksuits work for Kingpin, long story short, like hierarchy and all that, right? They will not want to disappoint him. They're going in with what motive? To kill this woman. They have guns. They are shown to kill and want to kill Kate Bishop. So when she's standing there holding this guy saying, oh, you know, okay, so did it work, the advice? Those two guys in the background are just standing there, letting it happen, and then they go for her when she's kicked the guy. Stuff like this, guys, like, it can't be seen in any other way. It speaks for itself. I know a lot of the tracksuit people are dumbasses, so you could use that as an excuse, but like, imagine if you are there, sent to kill someone, you see said character there, just like waiting for about, I don't know, 10 to 15 seconds, and you can just shoot her. Would you not shoot her if that's your mission? No, you would wait, wouldn't you, until she can stop you. It was cool seeing Jag kind of pull out the swordsman kind of cutlass, if you know what I mean, and just going ham. I just feel like, you know, good for you, Jag. Have a good time. Just do your thing, man. We have freaking Clint in the tree. Look, I found the owl adorable. I found it adorable. So this is where my issue in lies with this. Amongst all the other scenes going on that I don't really need to get into, Echo packing her things. I think we know why, what the plan was going on there at this time in the episode. So he's in the tree. And it occurs to me that the whole time that when Clint was in the tree saying, Kate, where's our backup? This guy is an Avenger. Let me say that again. This guy is an Avenger. And he's still in the tree. And he's been in the tree, by the way, because I should have mentioned it earlier, for some time during all of these scenes where Kate is in danger on the floor and stuff with the tracksuits, and he has not made any effort to move or climb down, which I'm pretty sure this Avenger A guy who also jumps out of windows, grapple hooks onto things, is capable of climbing up things and stuff. It is very capable of, navigating from a big-ass Christmas tree, which has fairly strong branches and stuff. You get what I'm trying to say here, and navigate his way down. Look, if you want to defend this, go for it. I'm willing to hear what you have to say, but come on, guys, please. So what I'm trying to say is here, Clint Barton is an Avenger. I would grab on or try and, like, shimmy my way down, especially if I'm an ex-spy Avenger level kind of dude. Look, I'm repeating myself at this point. This guy could have navigated his way down the tree. It's absolutely ludicrous to me that he was hanging on the whole time when he's shown to do these ridiculous other feats that he's done. Those branches are probably sturdy enough. Even if he had some dodgy times of going down, this isn't nitpicking. This is making the character look like he doesn't have the skill set that he has. Why wasn't he shimmying his way or, like, trying to get deeper into the tree, go down the tree? It's absolutely beyond me, and it only gets worse from here on out. But again, switch your brain off and have fun with it. The episode is still kind of fun, but, like, on a written level, my goodness gracious me. I'm sorry, not really been a big fan of the LARPer stuff in the beginning, and when they were like, it's time, we're trained professionals, but that is not enough right now, and then they arrive, like, basically people weren't listening to them beforehand with the escorting and stuff, but for some reason, guys, when they change into the costumes, they're doing the exact same thing, like, they're still gonna try and help Clint, maybe knock someone out if there's a tracksuit coming in, but their main thing is trying to redirect people to safety, and for some reason, changing into different costumes means that they direct better. I don't know, but at least the show is self-aware enough for Clint to say, yeah, we're all gonna die. Wasn't really a fan of Kate shooting that tree. I know she was assessing which wires to cut first, but this whole thing should have just been, like, solved through Clint going down the tree, as I said. The ice rink stuff, again, a lot of fun, a lot of, I know I keep repeating myself, but in terms of, like, entertainment, this was all good, in Christmas movie level stuff, but there were so many tracksuits, and Clint reveals the suit that was made for him. All this was cool. I think it looks good on him. Would have kind of liked Kate's mini pauldrons, shoulder pauldrons on him as well, but the arrow that magnetizes everything, as you said, it should keep them off for a little while, and was shown that it got rid of a lot of the weapons, but then, like, it wasn't continuing to magnetize things. That arrow ran out, and there wasn't another one of those deployed for all of the hordes. Like, if you played video games where you just have waves of enemies, they kept coming. So the big issue with this is that there's two people remaining fairly static, like, still in the ice rink, and there's people, yes, most of them, I do want to acknowledge, had melee weapons, so they were trying to just hit them, but there were people with guns everywhere still, not littered all over the place, but you get what I'm trying to say. They could have still shot them. So it is, again, a very switch your brain off situation. I'm not a fan of these explosion arrows, by the way, just because very basic logic dictates an explosion of that size, which is kind of like a frag grenade. When Clint just went like that, their limbs would be like, dismemberment kind of stuff would be happening, but we do not ask questions. So this is where, like, it does one of those things which I'm a fan of, because there's lots of different things going on at different times. This is where we had Eleanor go out the side door, so Kate went to go find her mum. Kazi came back, of course he did, after their previous battle, which I forgot to mention, that Clint, kind of finished him in. Kazi can now catch arrows, okay? And when Yelena came on the ice, I was like, finally, we get to see the moment. I get to see if I was right, and I was wrong, by the way. I thought maybe Clint would be all self-sacrificial, which I wouldn't have been a fan of, even though it was my idea, that because he still has a family, that if he was like, look, Yelena, if you feel like you need to kill me, kill me. I thought they would have gone that route of just, like, through Yelena seeing such guilt, even though it wasn't his fault, she might think twice about doing it. I did find it a bit weird when she was just like, before I kill you, I need to ask you a question. I was just like, well, you weren't asking questions before when you tried to kill him. So she obviously didn't believe him at first. I'm all fine with this because it probably comes across as a guy who is just lying to survive. So she's like, you're a liar. She didn't want to believe it. But what I feel like happens there is, despite the whistle, if she thinks that he was a liar at first, why did that change at the end just because of the whistle? She already knew that Clint was friends with Natasha, which kind of made it even more, vengeful for her, because, like, how could you do this to your friend kind of thing. So just because, like, Clint was saying all these things at the end because of the whistle, you could argue that's still a man trying to just save his own ass. and he still knew all these things through knowing Natasha. So I don't really know why Yelena came round. I know what a lot of you might say for defenses, but if you look at it really objectively here, without the bias of the enjoyment of the show, it's kind of looking like, well, you didn't believe him in the beginning, he was saying the same things, and just because of the whistle, which he could have known through knowing Natasha and still having betrayed her, which we know he didn't, but to her, he could have still been saving his own ass. So I don't really know what it was that kind of actually clicked. Maybe she just changed her mind, I guess, but it still seemed like the very reason she went there for with the things he was saying initially was still the same at the end, but she just decided to change her mind. But again, I felt like Florence, all of this was amazing. I was still hitting the feels despite having some issues. And of course, when Jeremy Renner and her were just like, I miss her and stuff like that, and how his eyes teared up, you know what I'm like, guys, it just hit me. And this is what I mean. I could rewatch this episode every year and have a lot of fun with it on that Christmas movie level. I have to admit, guys, I do feel like Echo has potential for her own future show, but I wasn't in this scene where, like, you know, they were doing that thing where it's like sad music, the character has to kill the friend anyway, and we're meant to feel bad in this moment, but I just didn't. I don't know if anyone else felt that, but I couldn't give a shit about Kazi dying, and I guess maybe I was meant to feel sad for Echo. I just didn't. I like Echo. I think I could see a future of her, as I said, but I just wasn't absorbed into this moment as what the show was kind of meant to have. Like, they were clearly trying to get that across to me, but I was like, no. So here we have Kingpin, and this is where this, like, look, so I really wanted to enjoy this moment, but I was laughing out loud. And I know that sounds like, hey, you don't care about Marvel. No, I do. But this was a parody in terms of believability. This was truly a switch your brain off moment because, okay, he pulls the car door off, and I was like, oh man, like, he's got his hat too. This is the kind of part I appreciate where even some people didn't because they, like, MCU-ified Vincent's Kingpin from Netflix, but I was kind of okay with this side, as I reiterated at the beginning of the video. But this is where Kate Bishop points the arrow at Kingpin. What are you gonna do with that? She fired it into his chest. Flag number one, I don't like how Kate is so perfectly fine with killing. Obviously, she was shocked. He didn't die. But there's been no addressing of the fact that this is a 22-year-old girl who's only ever done things like little angsty, like, clock tower things that sure are troublemaking. But in this show, she's been shown to, like, fire arrows at human beings, albeit adversaries, that would murder. There's no addressing of that. And that's something I mentioned earlier on this season that they should have kind of addressed. It would have been cool from a line from Clint just saying, hey, I know you killed, and I know it was self-defense, but how do you feel? Just something like that. Yes, that's a crap example, top of my head, but you get my point. But this isn't even the first really red flag. That was more of like a 0. And let's get on to the first one. So this is where he just grapples, gets the grapple, smacks her, and I found it absolutely ridiculous how Eleanor smacked the crap out of Kingpin with the car. It's funny because in mostly every frame when Kingpin was handling Kate, that the car was in park still in the scenes, and then just like bam. What? What's really bad about this is just how lazy all of it is and how hard to believe it is. Now, I know Kingpin is meant to be a bit of a tank. Don't think that I'm forgetting that. But this was expecting me to suspend disbelief beyond anything I think I've seen in a very long time. So when he gets banged by that car, and he's in that room, he gets up. Now, yes, I'm not trying to be nitpicky, and there's no hip displacement, there's no this or that, but he gets up without so much of a limp. He's even in better form when he's tossing Kate Bishop around the room and doing all these things, after just getting smacked into by a car. Look, you seeing it on screen, guys, like, I'm sorry, you can't defend that one. You just can't. You can't. But it gets worse. I so wanted to enjoy this, but, like, it's like, even though a part of me was like, oh, this is cool and fun, but, like, I was laughing. Because then, after that, even after Kingpin should arguably, like, at least, if not be dead, oh, he's out of commission. There's no way he can get up and be absolutely fine and then take on combat with Kate Bishop. Oh, no, he can. He's tossing her around like a rag doll, even after being hit in the way he was by that car. And, of course, we were waiting for this moment. Kate does the little trick thing that Clint taught her in the first attempt. Okay, fair enough. And what this did is the next ludicrous thing, is that this guy is immune to anything. They've established this because that bomb arrow, the too dangerous one, point blank, would dismember you. Like, it blew up in his face. And my guy is just there over there freaking on the floor snoring like Snorlax. Like, he's fine. After everything that is hard to believe about what I've already just witnessed up until this point, you put an explosion arrow, which is like a frag grenade, under him. And, like, there's not even one limb. Like, he's... What? Like, it was hard enough with the car. But even after all this, I'm speechless. I'm speechless. He's fine. Yes, he was hobbling away a bit at the end, but that, like, you would have thought he would be after all this, right? I mean, he would be in much worse shape, but look, this isn't me going hard. This is just me calling out the show and what it expects us to believe. There's comic book shows, yes, but then there's some level of suspension of disbelief requirement that this just went overboard with. So this is where you get the confrontation with Eleanor, which I found hilarious. And trust me, I don't want to be one of those fans where it's just like, you know, are you snarking at the show? Because I don't intend to do that, but I found this just ridiculous. So good on Kate for, like, calling the cops on her mom, all of this stuff, right? Killing Amand, hiring an assassin to kill Clint, framing your own fiancé, that's an unfortunate arrangement. Yes, sweetie, that's how the world works. It's like her patronizing attitude was just getting annoying at this point, but that's not even it when she was like, I did this for you. I think the more tasteful route would be for her to own it, but also maybe include some of the real world works kind of thing, just, you know, out of apprehension for her daughter. But the thing that topped it off was Eleanor's following dialogue in this moment was absolutely ridiculous. So when being confronted with the truth of your daughter, as I said, there's a more tasteful route to go, which I wish they went with. But after being faced with all the bad stuff she's done, which is, you know, it is bad, is this what heroes do? Arrest their mothers on Christmas? I just burst out laughing at that. I was just like, what? Like, what? What? Like, what? If anything, this devalues Eleanor's character. Like, as I said, the best way for it to do is just for her to be like, I'm sorry, darling, or something like that. Like, I know. And maybe, like, the police officer puts her head down and, you know, she's getting into the cop car and stuff. But you give her a line that is just really bad, whereas she's, you know, after being confronted with all the ill that she's done, she then, like, decides to poke at her daughter and just be like, is this what heroes do? Arrest their mothers on Christmas? And the big issue is that this was meant to be a dramatic scene. Like, she was, the actress was being endearing to her daughter there in that moment, and we were meant to be absorbed in that, and this was meant to be some kind of, like, line where you're just like, you know she's wrong anyway, obviously, but, like, you're feeling like, oh, why did you have to say that kind of thing? But I didn't react that way. I laughed. Like, what kind of moment was this? What kind of line was, is this what heroes do? Arrest their mothers on Christmas after everything that she just pointed out? It's dumbfounding. Moving on. Then we get the Kingpin moment when he's hobbling away, limping, as if he's only been in a punch-up. Am I right, guys? Like, I'm pretty sure that's accurate to if you've only been beaten up, not being exploded with arrows, being hit by a car, and all these other goddamn things. No, he was just beat up. Anyway, he comes across Echo, who, as in the comics, shoots him, and he survives in the comics. Right, okay. And this is the controversial thing, in how a lot of people are thinking he's now dead, and I'm just saying, I could be wrong about this, I'll hold my hands up if I am wrong. I don't think he will be. I think this was done for shock value. Even though it's accurate to the comics, it's just, you know, I get what they're going for there, but the gun was clearly shown to be up to his face. That's the thing. I've already had people reply to me, and I understand this comment. Well, you know, to be fair, they could have done the thing, and I want to point out, like, we didn't see it happen, in where I got a reply saying that she could have shot to the side of his face. Then I just say to you, what was insert sound effect here of body slumping on the floor? So logic there being gun to face, noise, body slumps on floor. So that's why people are panicking, like, and saying, why did they waste Kingpin? But even with that said, right, I would not be surprised if he survives, as he does in the story, source material. But even with that said, it kind of makes it even more silly. Not that I don't want him to survive, especially with all the Matt Murdock rumors we've got coming. It makes sense that he's important in the MCU from here on out. You get what I'm trying to say, right? But it almost makes it silly because the gun was pointed at him here. We hear the body slump sound effect of him hitting the floor, so how does he survive? I do want to reiterate, by the way, if they actually did kill Wilson Fisk, which I don't believe, just for the argument's sake, then yes, absolute terrible decision. Terrible, terrible. But I don't think they did. Anyway, though, guys, end of the show. Clint goes back home just in time for Christmas, brings Kate with him, not her. This is where we get an answer for the watch. I was thinking, what's going on with the watch? But then, as a lot of us predicted, Clint gives it back to Laura, his wife, and it turns out that there's an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. logo on the back with, like, the number 18 or 19. So, yeah, inferring her past, and, you know, it was obvious anyway that they were making her some kind of past agenty spy thing as well. So it's just like, hey, you should be more careful with your property kind of thing. So, you know, they paid that off, fair enough. I would have liked a bit more of a direction as to what's going on now, because at the end of the day, I know Hawkeye is an Avenger, but he's more of a retired bloke now, so... But I do like that they ended it off with them together, because I was thinking, okay, but, you know, Kate Bishop is the future Hawkeye. Is she going to still get trained by Clint from here on out? Like, what's his business? Is he still doing things? I don't know what's going on there. This is where they burn the Ronin suit. She comes up with a name or two. That sounds a bit, you know, lame to Hawkeye, but that's where, obviously, they did the thing of Clint saying, oh, you know, I have an idea, then cut to title screen. Hawkeye. You get the reference, you know, I have an idea. We don't hear what that idea is, but then title screen, Hawkeye, because, get it, she's future Hawkeye, kind of, yeah. So, all in all, guys, you know, and I didn't want to even entertain that post-credit scene with the musical. Meh. It was a Christmas movie. That's what I want to say. And I want to say through and through, I enjoyed this show, unironically really enjoyed it in terms of, it was a fun ride, and I really like Hailee Steinfeld as Kate Bishop, Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye. It was a fun through and through Christmas movie. Other than that, I can't really repeat myself too much more. On a written assessment level of quality, it was a Christmas movie. And you can't think about it too much beyond that, because if you do, it has got holes in terms of pissing water in a boat level holes. And that's just the way it is. But that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it, you know? But in terms of grading it in two different areas, subjective enjoyment up here, quality level of a level of writing down here somewhere. So make of that what you will. But those are my honest thoughts. Never want to kind of sugarcoat things for you guys. And that is Hawkeye. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Would you like to see more of this? Not gonna lie, I would be game for another season. If Loki got another season and there is room now to kind of expand upon this, I am still down to see it. Like, I hope that kind of just tells you how much I enjoyed it. I want to see more Hailee Steinfeld, Kate Bishop, and I want to see more Clint Hawkeye, even though they're both technically Hawkeye. Maybe that's what he said in that moment. Like this video, guys, if you did enjoy it. Do subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And of course, check out the links in the top pinned comment where you can follow me on Twitter. Check out some of the other links there, like my Discord server. But thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a lovely rest of your day. And I'll see you people of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the next video. Goodbye.